In the early morning light of southwestern Germany, the city of Pforzheim stirs quietly between forested hills and river valleys. It is here, on the 26th day of June in 1961, that Edgar Itt is born into a nation still defining itself, a West Germany balancing memory, ambition, and renewal. The Cold War divides the country, but on the track, there are no borders, only lanes, distances, and time. Long before Olympic stadiums and global audiences, Edgar Itt's story begins in ordinary surroundings, shaped not by spectacle, but by movement, discipline, and repetition. As a child, Edgar grows up in an environment where sport is valued as both recreation and structure. Athletics is not immediately about medals or national representation. It begins simply, with running at school, physical education classes, and the early discovery that speed, especially sustained speed, comes naturally. The 400 meters is a demanding event, balancing raw sprinting power with endurance and tactical control. It is an event that reveals character as much as physical ability. For Edgar Itt, this balance becomes his defining athletic language. West Germany's athletics system in the 1970s and early 1980s emphasizes club-based development rather than centralized state control. Young athletes progress through regional competitions, training under coaches who emphasize technical precision, rhythm, and repeatability. Edgar Itt advances through this system steadily, not as a prodigy surrounded by headlines, but as a disciplined runner whose reliability and composure distinguish him from peers. His early competitions show promise, especially in relay formats, where teamwork and consistency are just as critical as individual speed. As he matures physically, the 400 meters becomes his primary focus. It is an unforgiving distance, too aggressive at the start, and the final straight becomes a wall. Too cautious, and victory slips away before the curve ends. Edgar Itt learns the nuances of this race through countless repetitions, training sessions that involve precise pacing, controlled lactic buildup, and relentless technical refinement. His stride becomes efficient, his posture stable, his sense of timing increasingly refined. By the early 1980s, Edgar Itt has emerged as one of West Germany's reliable quarter-milers. While he may not always dominate headlines individually, his value becomes increasingly clear in relay selection. The 400 meters relay is not merely for runners sharing a baton. It is a strategic equation involving order, psychological resilience, and the ability to perform under pressure. Coaches look for athletes who can deliver consistent splits, handle chaotic baton exchanges, and remain composed when races are decided by fractions of a second. International competition during this era is shaped by political realities. The 1984 Olympic Games in Los Angeles arrive amid boycotts and geopolitical tension. Eastern Bloc nations are absent, altering the competitive landscape while simultaneously intensifying scrutiny on those who do compete. For West German athletes, the Games represent both opportunity and responsibility. Selection alone is a career-defining moment. Edgar Itt earns his place on the Olympic relay squad not through hype, but through trust. Trust built in training camps, domestic competitions, and relay trials. Trust that when the baton is placed in his hand, it will not be dropped. Trust that his split will be delivered under the harsh glare of Olympic expectation. Los Angeles in the summer of 1984 is loud, bright, and unforgiving. The Olympic Stadium pulses with noise, anticipation, and the weight of history. For a 400-meter runner, the experience is fragmented: warm-ups in call rooms, glances at competitors, the quiet internal focus before chaos erupts. Each runner knows that individual effort must dissolve into collective execution. The relay unfolds with precision and urgency. The baton moves cleanly through hands, curves, and straights. The race is fast, tactical, and relentless. The West German team holds position, fighting not only competitors but the cumulative fatigue that defines the final lap. When the anchor crosses the line, the result is confirmed: bronze medal. For Edgar Itt, the medal represents more than a podium finish. It is validation of years spent refining a craft that rarely grants individual glory. Relay medals belong equally to every leg, every exchange, every silent training session that built toward one synchronized moment. Standing on the Olympic podium, bronze around his neck, Edgar Itt becomes an Olympic medalist, his name permanently inscribed in the history of German athletics. Following the Games, Edgar continues to compete at a high level, contributing to national teams and maintaining his presence in elite competition. Yet, like many athletes of his era, his career unfolds without the commercial spotlight that later generations would experience. There are no lucrative endorsements, no global media tour. Athletics remains grounded in discipline rather than spectacle. Eventually, as physical demands accumulate and younger athletes rise, Edgar Itt transitions away from elite competition. His retirement is not marked by grand ceremonies, but by a quiet step back from the track. This understated conclusion reflects the nature of his career: professional, committed, and devoid of unnecessary theatrics. Information about Edgar Itt's post-competitive life remains private, and appropriately so. What endures instead is the record: an Olympic bronze medal, years of national representation, and a career defined by reliability under pressure. In the relay, the stakes are amplified and success is shared. Edgar Itt's Olympic achievement stands as evidence that he delivered when it mattered most. His story is a reminder that behind every medal is a network of effort rarely visible to spectators. It is a reminder that greatness in sport does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it runs one lap at a time, holds its line, passes the baton cleanly, and finishes just ahead of history's closing door. For behind the medal, Edgar Itt's journey captures the essence of athletic contribution beyond individual stardom. It is about trust, discipline, and the willingness to serve a collective goal. If this story inspired you, support the channel by liking, sharing, and subscribing, and continue exploring the real stories that exist behind every medal. This video contains AI-generated images. They are used only for creative illustration and may not represent the athlete's exact appearance.